Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Edna.
And I'm Isabel Wong. Let's take a look at tonight's top stories. All passengers and crew on board Lion Air airplane feared dead after it crashes into Indonesian waters.
Privacy Commissioner worried about phishing scams after massive data leak at Cathay Pacific.
And hundreds of passengers complain about long waits for buses at Hong Kong Zhuhai-Macau Bridge.
A Lion Air airplane carrying 189 people has crashed into Indonesian waters shortly after takeoff.
No survivors have been located so far, Sarah Wong reports.
Indonesian authorities have confirmed a Lion Air passenger jet crashed into the Java Sea minutes after takeoff this morning. The brand new plane was carrying 181 passengers and 8 crew members. Flight JT610 took off at 7:17 a.m. Hong Kong time and lost contact with air traffic controllers 13 minutes later. The jet was 1,130 meters above sea level when contact was lost. The airplane was making a regional flight from the capital Jakarta to Bangka Belitung, a city in an island chain of Sumatra. Indonesian Air Navigation authorities said the pilots requested to return to the airport shortly before losing contact. The country's search and rescue agency later confirmed that the aircraft plunged into waters of West Java. The waters are 30 to 35 meters deep. Debris from the airplane was seen floating on the sea surface. Personal belongings such as crushed smartphones and ID cards had been collected. Around 300 rescuers continue scouring the area for passengers. The cause of the crash remained unknown. Families packed the arrival gate at the Pati Emir Airport in Pangkal Pinang, anxiously waiting news for their loved ones. Indonesian President Joko Widodo has ordered a probe into the crash and pledged his country's best efforts to search for victims. The aircraft was a Boeing 737 MAX 8, an updated, more fuel-efficient version of the single-aisle jet. It was delivered to Lion Air in August. The airline is one of Indonesia's youngest and biggest airlines. Lion Air CEO Edward Sire said the jet has suffered technical issues before, but revealed no plan to ground the rest of its 737 MAX 8 fleet. Boeing said the company stood ready to provide technical assistance to accident investigators. Sarah Wong, HKIBC.
Privacy Commissioner Stephen Wong has said that since there were no laws to do so, Cathay Pacific had the moral responsibility to review the data leak that affected 9.4 million passengers earlier than it did.
He also warned victims of the data breach of phishing attacks. Riley Chan reports.
Police officers were seen at Cathay Pacific's headquarters this morning to collect evidence in connection to a massive data breach that happened 7 months ago. The city's flagship carrier and its subsidiary Cathay Dragon disclosed the breach on Wednesday. The company said that personal data of 9.4 million passengers had been leaked, including telephone numbers, dates of birth, and addresses. Cathay Pacific was slammed by privacy advocates for disclosing the data breach 5 months after it was confirmed. But Privacy Commissioner Stephen Wong admitted on a radio program today that there were no regulations in place to force companies to review data leaks. He said it was a moral responsibility rather than a legal one. Wong said his office was considering introducing the European Union's latest General Data Protection Regulation to Hong Kong, which required companies to disclose breaches within 72 hours. The privacy chief also warned victims of the data breach to guard against phishing attempts, a concern also voiced by Cathay Pacific and IT experts earlier. Wong said he had personally received an email purportedly from the airline, but he had not opened it out of fear that it may be a scam. He reminded victims of the leak to watch out for suspicious emails to avoid giving out more personal information. The commissioner revealed that his office had received 24 complaints and 27 inquiries so far. Most questions were about receiving compensation. The watchdog has approached the airline and asked for preliminary information in order to assess the scale of the incident and see if an in-depth investigation was needed. Cathay Pacific was given 10 days to comply. The carrier has not responded. Riley Chan, HKIBC.
More than 77,000 passengers passed through the Hong Kong port of the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge yesterday, setting a new record.
But many passengers complained of having to wait hours before they could board a shuttle bus. Transport Chief Frank Chan said the government would review shuttle bus arrangements with operators. Yu Pina reports.
We do have quite an amazing turnout yesterday because
Transport Secretary Frank Chan might be delighted by yesterday's crowd at the Mega Bridge's Hong Kong port, but some passengers were annoyed by the long queue. More than 77,000 people passed through the port yesterday, the highest number since the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge opened on Wednesday. At its peak, 3,500 passengers went through in 1 hour. But some people complained about the long wait for port-to-port shuttle buses. They said they had to wait up to 2 to 3 hours for a bus. Chan said today the government would review relevant arrangements with shuttle bus operators.
although our shuttle bus have been operating according to schedule, we have altogether 19 shuttles getting out of the port during the hours from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the evening. But the number of passengers are indeed, very high in that sense, and therefore it takes a little bit of time to digest.
Meanwhile, Chan said the government would double the number of bridge permits for private cars from next week. So far, 5,000 permits have been issued. Yu Pina, HKIBC.
The MTR Corporation says it will offer special discounts this weekend as a one-off compensation measure for a major service failure earlier this month. 4 MTR lines broke down during the morning rush hour on October 16th. The disruption affected hundreds of thousands of commuters.